There are a host of reasons why so many black or African American females are very angry. They are so angry to the point that they will not only destroy, sabotage, or hurt or harm others, but will also do the same thing to self. At least until and or unless they tune into knowing thyself. And it is from knowing thyself that an individual enters into the portal of consciousness, holistic consciousness. When a person enters into holistic consciousness, then life begins to change because perception begins to change. And the things that an individual is angry about, it begins to change because that person no longer perceives in the way they used to perceive, which led to the unskillful emotion of anger. So, a lot of these angry females who just happen to be black or African American, they are angry and a lot of other things simply because they don't know self and they are not conscious. They are not conscious that they are the ones who wrote their own life script. We all write our own life script. So when you write a life script that involves certain lessons, getting certain lessons to ennoble the soul and to grow in consciousness, when you don't remember that you're responsible for that, that you chose that, then you'll get here in a state of negative emotion, confusion, fearful, angry, bitter, regrets, and a host of other negative emotions that will saturate the tissues of the body in certain organs and manifest in disease. That's why so many women are experiencing disease of the female reproductive system in addition to experiencing disease in general. The same organs that males possess: the heart, the liver, the lungs, the colon, the spleen, the pancreas. But in addition to the female reproductive organs, ovaries, tube, fallopian tube, uterus, a vagina, etc. So all of this disease is a physical manifestation of the harboring of negative emotion. And certain emotion harbors in certain organs and or glands. For example, anger is stored and harbors in the liver. Fear stores and harbors in the kidneys. Grief stores and harbors in the heart. Bitterness and regret stores and harbors in the pancreas. So disease is rampant today, and in certain areas of the body, in an attempt to get our attention about a certain or particular thing, a particular emotion, an unskillful emotion that we need to deal with, but have not dealt with. That's what's going on. And see, that exacerbates negative emotion. Because when you're dealing with vaginal discharge and vaginal odor and blood clotting, endometriosis, PMS, tumors, cysts, and just everything that females are experiencing here, especially in the Western world. When you're experiencing these things they play a role in robbing you of life. You're not at your best when you're diseased because a lot of your attention focuses on the disease. I mean, you can't really enjoy lovemaking knowing that you have an issue going on with the sexual reproductive system. I mean, you can't enjoy lovemaking if you are experiencing vaginal dryness. You can't experience lovemaking if there is vaginal fumigation, if you have an odor down below. You can't enjoy it because certain diseases, certain maladies, what they do is they divert your attention and then they begin to affect you in other areas. For example, self-esteem, confidence, skillful ego, etc. So you'll never be at your best having all of these diversions, all of these irritations, all of these challenges, you see. And when you lack the knowledge of self and when you're not conscious, you don't know anything about a remedy. You don't know anything about a remedy. And when these issues become chronic, most people, those who don't know self and those who are not conscious, they begin to accept these things as a part of life. And see, that's going to further the unskillful emotion. It's going to further anger. So they become more angry, more bitter. Especially if you're dealing with a situation whereby disease is on the scene, but it was contracted. The disease is of a sexual nature. So, for example, genital herpes. She didn't have genital herpes, but she hooked up with a fella who had genital herpes and did not tell her. And so after a few days or a few weeks or a few months, she discovers that she has genital herpes. And of course, she is going to blame, and understandably so, she's going to blame the fella whom she contracted genital herpes from. And so there's going to be anger and bitterness, first at the male, but then after a while, herself. And this happens a lot where people beat themselves up for the choices they make. Damn, why did I choose him? Why did I sleep with him? Why did I give it up to him? Why? And so they become upset with self. And remember, they upset about a lot of other things too. So the anger is going to enhance. It's going to magnify. You see, when you operate from a state of unskillful emotion, all you're going to do is get more of that unskillful emotion. You're going to attract more people, more circumstances, and you're going to attract yourself to more places whereby you're going to get experiences that's going to give you more of that unskillful emotion. That's how it is pursuant to the law of attraction. When you're here on planet Earth, you are subject to the law of attraction in addition to all of the other laws. And like I always tell people, ignorance of the law or ignorance of the laws, plural, is no excuse. So when you operate from anger, all you're going to do is attract more people that's going to make you angry and therefore more angry. All you're going to do is attract to yourself circumstances that's going to make you more angry. You're going to attract yourself to certain places or locations that is going to result in more anger. And you're going to be dealing with people, locations or places, and circumstances. They all play a part. So you will attract yourself to a place or location where there is an individual or individuals that a circumstance will be created. And because the root of attracting yourself to the place, to the individuals, are negative, I should say unskillfully negative, because I don't want us to really think that negative just means negative and that's it. But negative in the sense that you are getting more unskillful emotion, though you're claiming you want the opposite of it. But that's what you will get. So everything is negative, from the individuals, the circumstances, and the results. It's just more of what you are putting out. That's all it is. It's just more of what you are putting out. And that's why it's very dangerous to operate on unskillful emotion. Very, very dangerous. And ignorance of the law is no excuse. And when you deal with all of these angry females, all of these angry women, they are responsible for being angry. Why? Because they're responsible for their perception, how they see things, how they choose to see things. Going back to self-knowledge and consciousness is very, very, very important. Very, very important, because you begin to understand and overstand and understand your existence, your purpose for being here, your life lessons that you are here to learn this go around, because you didn't learn them the last go around or go arounds. So you are here to learn lessons, and in learning certain lessons you are absolving karma. That's why you have the birth date, so that you can arrive at the life path. You see, that's why you have a birth name, a given name, so that you can arrive at your destiny number. Your birthday, that leads to your life path number. You get certain lessons from the number of your birthday. You take your birthday or your birth date and add those numbers up, and you get a single number. It could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and in some cases, an 11 or 22 or 33. However, there is a science that breaks those numbers down back into a single number. And in some cases, you can't, or you don't break them down into a single number, because you're not operating from that single number, but you are operating from that double number. And what I mean by that is, for example, let's say that your life path number is 11. Well, 11 is 1 and 1. And in numerology, we deduce everything down to a single number. But there is an exception to the rule pertaining to the double numbers known as the master numbers: 11, 22, 33, 44, 55. In those unique cases, you don't deduce. You will only deduce predicated upon the vibration which comes from actions, the lifestyle. So if a person has a number 11, a master number, that master number brings about additional responsibility, extra responsibility. Now, if a person is not living the extra responsibility, and usually that's healing, that's leading, guiding, service, helping people. That's what you're dealing with when you deal with the master numbers. So if a person is an 11, and if a person is living the attributes of an 11, in tune with the vibration of an 11, and that vibration comes from doing the requirements of an 11, which is the particular service, the particular work. It's detailed, the detailed work, the detailed responsibilities. So if a person is living that, then that person is operating from the vibration of that number, the number 11. However, if a person is not, then the 11 has to be deduced to the number 2. And then that person is operating on the vibration of the number 2, the responsibilities, the duties of a number 2. See, that's how that operates in numerology. I don't want to spend too much time on numerology, because this particular video is not about numerology, but numerology figures in to this scenario, just as astrology does. Now, I can tell you right now, I'm not going to get into numerology and astrology, at least deeply, because already time is of the essence. But I just wanted to make a point that when you are operating from self-knowledge and consciousness, you begin to understand things. You begin to understand that you're here to get certain life lessons, and that certain things that happen to you is not necessarily a bad thing. It's not a curse. It's the opportunity for a lesson. And when you extract the lesson from a thing, from a circumstance, when you extract the lesson, then you become wise. You grow in wisdom. Then you're living life skillfully because you're making different choices that is leading to different outcomes or circumstances. You see? So consciousness will help you to change your choices. And when you change your choices and then you act on those changed choices, then you're going to get a changed outcome. You know, you guys have heard about insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome is insanity. Well, a lot of people are insane. But see, consciousness will change that because you start doing different things because you want a different outcome. And see, that's very important. That's very, 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 very important to start doing different things. But in order to start doing different things, people have to start thinking differently. They have to start thinking differently. And when they begin to think differently, then they end up with different or changed belief systems. They end up with a different or changed attitude or mental attitude. See, and then they end up with different or changed actions. And then they end up with different or changed habits. And then they end up with different or changed lifestyle. It works in that order. Work is involved. Work is involved to get deeper into knowing thyself or self-knowledge and also consciousness. See, what you have to understand, self-knowledge and consciousness is something that you have to work for. You have to work for. A lot of people say, Djehuty, I don't know how to begin. I don't know what to do. Well, most of the problems, most of the things we're dealing with, the root cause is spiritual. It's of a spiritual nature. So the best way to get started is working on things that will cultivate spiritual awareness, that will work on the spiritual level of existence. That's the key. Because when you become conscious on a spiritual level, you will automatically become conscious on a material level. See, you have to go through the spiritual to get to the material. A lot of people think it's the other way around. And there is an exception to the rule. You know, some people just go through the material and it just whoops their behind. It's fire, you know, so it starts burning them. Then they yearn for spirituality, you know, spiritual existence. They've done everything on a material level. And so you do have that. There is an exception. There's always an exception to the rule. But in most cases, when people have eyes to see and they learn about the matrix and, you know, they learn about the truths of the matrix, about the rulers and the 1%, you know, running the planet, and college is to enslave you, a job is to enslave you, marriage is defined by another or an entity that is to enslave you, and just about the majority of things in the matrix is to enslave you. Not everything about the matrix, but a lot of things about the matrix, the majority of things about the matrix is to enslave you until you become conscious, until you know thyself, and until you become conscious, spiritually conscious. Some people use the word cosmic conscious, becoming conscious in a cosmic sense or a universal sense. You know, some people even say divine, but whether it's cosmic, universal, divine, spiritual, it's pretty much all the same. And it's very important that you end up there, because then life will begin to make sense. And then when life makes sense, you'll be able to deal with certain things. You'll be able to get those lessons. You'll be able to absorb that karma and speed up existence. You'll be able to speed up that evolution, the soul evolution. You see, then you start enjoying life, you see. And that's very important, that you enjoy life while you're learning. A lot of people don't think you can enjoy life and have quote unquote fun while learning. That's why a lot of people don't do good in school because school is not fun. For the most part, public school or public schools are not fun. The public school system or the public school system, it's not fun. It's boring. It's rigid. The paradigm is outdated. A lot of the information children are getting, they can't apply, and that helps to handicap them. In this new era. These eras are always changing, so the information or the knowledge of the curriculum has to change. But that's not the case nowadays. So, a lot of students are coming out of the public school or the public school system ill-equipped to handle the era that they're in. They'll come out and, they'll purchase an iPhone or iPad, what have you, but they're ill-equipped. Most people, or most of these students, they come out, they don't know how to, create their own technology. They don't know how to apply the technology to generate income. They don't know how to use that technology to better life, to better self, because they're not taught that in the public school or the public school system. So they'll use the technology like in the school system out here in Los Angeles. They're using iPads now for children to, do assignments, to do homework and some other things. And they're using the technology. But when they graduate, they won't use that technology to benefit self or to learn things about self. They'll use it for what the majority of people are doing: surfing, visiting certain sites that just happens to feed the lower nature, you see. And certain people will tweet and they'll type on Facebook and other sites about how life is miserable and they're lonely, they're bored. They'll share negative experiences about relationships. They don't know how to live life. They may have a job, but that's it. That's it. They may even be in a relationship, but it's not ideal. Because in the public school system, they were inculcated about making a living. They were not inculcated or even educated about living their making. But that's all by design. It's all by design. And even though it is by design, you can still overcome it. Self-knowledge and consciousness is key, very key. But let's get back to the anger. Let's get back to the anger. When you tap into self-knowledge and you start acting on that self-knowledge, when you become conscious and you start moving from a state of consciousness, then life is going to change. Perception is going to change. You're going to start seeing things differently. So, boom, anger. On the scene for a host of reasons. Now, let's take a few examples constituting reasons for being angry. These females in general, Black or African American females being angry in particular. No daddy on the scene. That plays a big role in a lot of females in general, Black or African American females in particular, being angry. Being angry. No daddy on the scene. But that produces a lesson, a life lesson, a particular life lesson. A lot of females who grow up without a father, they label that circumstance. And it's a lesson, but until they understand that it is a lesson, it's just a circumstance. And to them, because of their perception, it's an unfortunate, hurtful, painful circumstance. They'll label it abandoned, being abandoned by the father, the daddy. My daddy abandoned me. My dad left me. And that's going to lead to more things. Well, my dad didn't love me because my dad left me. My dad does not love me because my dad abandoned me. You don't abandon what you love. And that may or may not be the situation, like factually so, factually speaking. Because there are a lot of guys out there who don't love their offspring, male or female. But in some cases they do, but the father's not on the scene to express that or explain that, you see. So the damage is done pursuant to the child, her perception. To her perception. So now she's dealing with abandonment. And she's stuck on unskillful emotion. And unskillful emotion is going to impact thinking. And so thinking becomes unskillful or negative. My father does not love me. I was not wanted. I was not loved. I was not protected. All of these things that come with the father-daughter relationship. And the same can be said pertaining to the mother. But right now I'm dealing with the father because I'm dealing with the anger that stems from the father and certain responsibilities or duties that come with being a father not being met by this particular female, which results in her being angry because of how she is perceiving certain things and also not understanding certain things. So without a father on the scene, the theme for her becomes abandonment. She was abandoned. And when she thinks about being abandoned, she grows in anger. She grows in bitterness. She grows in hatred on a deep psychological level, on a deep mental level, emotional level, spiritual level. She grows in certain unskillful emotion. Anger, bitterness, resentment, hatred at herself, but also her father. And in a lot of cases, the mother. Yes, the mother. Because a lot of these angry females, they'll look at the mother. Hey, you brought me here. You're a woman. You do the choosing. You chose my father. Why did you choose him to be my father? Because I look around at the people who have a father, a functional father, and how they're living, and I don't have that. And I desire that. They desire it now being on this side. See, but they don't remember that they wrote their life script to get a certain lesson. And that lesson involved the father leaving. That lesson involved her growing up without a father to get certain experiences, certain lessons to extract wisdom. She doesn't remember that. So, in a lot of these cases, the anger involves her, the father, and even the mother. Mad at the father because he bounced. Not a real man, didn't love her, etc., etc., etc. The mother made a poor choice. You was just selfish, thinking about yourself. And then she's upset with herself. I'm defective. And something must be wrong with me. I'm not wanted. I'm not loved. What did I do? What did I do? She'll even begin to blame herself. I've seen it too many times. So the anger involves self and the parents, mother and father. And in some cases, the relationship with the mother is cool and the anger is just directed at the father. And in many cases, it extends beyond the father, and it is applicable to all males because her daddy, her father, is a male, belong to the male species. So for a lot of these females, they're turned against males because of the father, you see. And see, this is when things get deep. This is when things get deep because there's certain things that she needs as a human being, as a human female. So when a female is angry with her father, but she got hormones that kick in, and she's feeling the fire. She's feeling the juice. She's feeling the heat. They have all type of terms for a young lady reaching that stage of a sexual awareness, hormonal activation, which leads to the sex act. So she's human, she's biological. Human beings are sexual beings, sexual creatures. So that's going to activate in her. And for many of these females, it activates at a very early age, whether it's from her doing or someone else. And usually when you deal with that someone else, that's dealing with rape, sexual molestation, that will activate sexual activity or sexual consciousness, even though it was, detrimental, foul, criminal, corrupt, etc., etc. It's there. That carnal knowledge is there. She knows what it feels like. Now, it may not be, in the healthy sense where there was consent and there was love and, there was a choice. She chose. It may not be like that, but she gets the experience. She knows what it feels like to be penetrated. And that changes something about her. She has knowledge. And in those cases, it's not the right knowledge. But anyway, that whole sexual awareness has been activated in her. So she's into boys now. She's into boyfriends. She's into the whole dating scene. So she's hooking up with males. But remember, she have issues with males, and usually she's unconscious about that. But she has issues with males because she has issues with her daddy. But see, she's not dealing with the whole daddy thing. She bypasses that. She puts that to the side, and she's out there. She's into dudes. But what she doesn't understand is that emotions cannot be turned off. Now, you can numb yourself to emotions using the mind, but emotions don't turn off. And you're always emitting. You're always emitting. So she's into dudes, but her emotion is one of anger, bitterness, resentment at the daddy, who's a member of the male species. So she's attracting dudes. And she's attracting certain type of relationships that's going to give her a consequence. That's going to result in a way that she doesn't like. That's going to lead to more detriment, more damage, more anger, more bitterness, more resentment, more of the negative emotion of the unskillful emotions, especially the ones that stem from the whole daddy thing, the abandonment of the father scenario. She's going to attract males that end up abandoning her. And she's not going to see the role that she plays in men abandoning her, men abusing her, men not loving her. And that's going to create more damage, more injury, more work to do should she ever tap into learning about doing the work. But that's what's going to happen. She's going to attract daddy in the form of a boyfriend or in the form of just a bedmate. She's going to attract daddy. She's going to attract men like daddy. When we deal with this situation, the female attracting daddy, we get insight into the term sugar daddy. See, sugar deals with sweetness. Daddy deals with one who loves, one who protects, one who provides, one who skillfully reprimands or disciplines, and some other things that come with daddy. So the sugar daddy is usually an older male who could actually be her daddy, chronologically speaking. But the older male, and he could just be 7 years older than her, or 10 years, or 12. Not old enough to be her father, but he's older than her, significantly older than her. But nevertheless, he's that older male, because generally fathers are older than their daughters. So this is an older male. So he fits daddy, the older male, who should know more things than her, who should love her, protect her, guide her, check her when she needs checking. He becomes the sugar daddy. He is the substitute daddy, the surrogate daddy, the supplemental daddy. She's looking for a daddy. She wants to get back to daddy, and she'll do so in strange men in the form of sexual relationships with those strange men who happen to be older than her. You have a lot of females out there who gravitate towards older men, and there's a psychology behind that. There is a psychology behind that. And in many cases, when her situation is one of growing up without a father, and that whole scenario, that whole situation is very deep with her, very impactful. When she begins to move as far as dating men, seeing men, hooking up with men, she's going to use that scenario to make up for the absence of a father. And so she'll end up, in most cases, with a sugar daddy. And if you look at that relationship, it's going to be very reminiscent of the father-daughter relationship, but it's going to be very dysfunctional. Very dysfunctional in most cases. Because the love will be false, it'll be fake or phony. And the older dude, and this is typical of older dudes, what I'm about to say, they will manipulate in the name of love, telling the young female that he loves her when he doesn't. He's saying it, but he doesn't mean it. Guiding her. Yeah, he will guide her, but he will guide her in a way whereby he benefits from guiding her, not her. And in a lot of cases, this scenario that I'm talking about ends up in the young lady being a prostitute, because the guy is guiding her into a lifestyle of prostitution for his benefit. And you guys know how the prostitutes talk, telling the female that he loves her. He's the only dude that really loves her. And he's going to guide her. He's going to protect her. It's just those two. Pimps are notorious for telling the females about them too. But she has to do certain things for them. Like in the movie Mac. This is for us. So I need you to get out there and sell your body and make that money for us so we can do our thing. See, spitting that game. Speaking with sugar. Sweetness and sugar is a toxin. It's toxic. See, he's spitting that toxic game to her. And it's toxic because being out there prostituting, sleeping with strange men, with negative entities attached to the genitalia, foul spirits, foul mindset, murderers, drug dealers, in prison and practicing homosexuality in a survival mode way, if you will. misogynist, abusive. So she has to deal with all of that for him under the auspices of them, but only he benefits. And even if it doesn't turn into a whole prostitution type thing, it's still a situation that benefits that older male as compared or contrasted to that young lady benefiting from what she's doing. He's doing the talking, she's doing the actions to her own detriment. All the money she makes, it goes to him. So these type of scenarios give birth to the whole sugar daddy situation or scenario. And many of those situations or scenarios blossom into pimp hoe type of dealings. Not in all cases, but in some cases, or even many cases, if you will, pertaining to what we're dealing with here. So the whole sugar daddy notion, the whole sugar daddy relationship or occurrence or phenomenon, if you will, it stems from the need for daddy, the need for the male to love, the need for the male to protect, the need for the male to guide, the need for the male to discipline. And you look at those pimp hole situations. You know, first the pimp is talking sweet, right? He's coming with the sugar, the affection to get her out there, to guide her. But then he comes with the discipline when she doesn't act right, which really is her not doing what she's told to do by him. So in pimp language, pimp vernacular, he has to put his foot up her ass. It's the whole kick and kiss phenomenon. And even if it's not a situation whereby, you know, she's a hoe and the dude is a pimp, you still have that situation whereby the dude has to put his foot in the ass of that female. He has to beat her. He has to physically beat her, abuse her. He's going to kick her behind. That's a dysfunctional form of discipline, reprimand. And then he's going to come behind that and kiss her, kick and kiss. You fight, then you fuck. So he'll beat her up, and then he'll have sex with her, quote unquote, making love. And she becomes used to that. And then, after this happens for a while, the programming is established. And so then she will rebel on purpose when she wants to feel, quote unquote, loved. So she'll do something that will make the pimp beat her. So that after she's beaten, lovemaking, pseudo lovemaking will take place. Because see, that's what she wants, the lovemaking. But it's a dysfunctional relationship. She just can't ask for lovemaking. She just can't ask for it. She has to do something whereby the lovemaking is a consequence, cause and effect. The lovemaking is an effect from the cause of fighting, acting out of pocket. And this takes place in relationships whereby it is not an official pimp hoe situation. But I mean, if you really look deep into a lot of relationships, it's like that. It's just no money is involved. No money is involved. She's not on the boulevard. But it's still it still has the whole pimp hoe vibration. Because you still witness the kick and kiss phenomenon taking place in that relationship. That happens a lot in a lot of these relationships, especially with the angry female who enters into a relationship with a male who is the supplemental daddy. And in a lot of these cases, whether you're dealing with the whole pimp hoe situation or the whole sugar daddy situation, or even a regular boyfriend-girlfriend type of hookup or setup, you're still dealing with a certain phenomenon, a certain occurrence whereby there has to be an argument, or worse, a fight, a physical fight, in order for lovemaking, quote unquote, lovemaking, it's pseudo, it's false lovemaking to take place. Whether pimp hoe or sugar daddy in baby girl situation, or just a regular relationship, you still have that need to fight or to argue, steam let off, that leads to hot, steamy, passionate sex in the bedroom or wherever else. Because in all cases, the male and or the female, but especially the female, doesn't know how to ask for loving. In most cases, it's not even in her vocabulary. She may use the word fuck more so than love or lovemaking. That denotes pathology. Because when you deal with the etymology of the word fuck, you're dealing with to beat or bang against. It's not the same as lovemaking. There are women out there who will tell a man, you can make love to me, but you can't fuck me. There's a difference. Two different vibrations. But that will happen, like in the movie Baby Boy with Djehuty and Yvette. I can't stand your black ass, Djehuty. I hate you. I hate you, Djehuty. And then a few seconds later, they're in the bedroom and Djehuty is plug tuning. And then in that action, the love making, the hot, steamy love making, Yvette says, I love you. And then she explains to Djehuty that when she says, I hate you, what I really mean is, I love you. Well, how come Yvette just can't come out and say that? They have to have a fight, an argument, in order to end up where she wants to be. The hot, steamy sex, and then they are laid up cuddling and talking. Soft talk, gentle talk. But they have to first go through the fire to get there. When you become conscious, you end up there without arguing, without fighting. But you have to deal with the anger. You have to deal with it. I've been in those relationships with a few females who were angry. And they used anger to end up being sexual, or to end up, again, like Djehuty and Yvette, cuddling, sweet talking. But anger is a block. Anger blocks love. See, if there's no anger and there's love, you're going to end up in that type of scenario whereby you're in bed cuddling, talking sweet to one another, fondling one another, gentle touch, caressing. Love will automatically lead you there. You don't need no fighting and arguing. Don't need it. But a lot of people do it because it's all they know. And then, it serves a purpose. It's a cathartic. That type of scenario, the sex that results from an argument, is cathartic. It helps to relieve stress, tension, and other emotion, usually negative, skillful emotion. It's a catharsis. It throws off, the anger, the frustration, the stress, the tension. It throws it off. But because the person lacks a knowledge of self and is not conscious, they go right back after experiencing that sex. It only lasts for a while. And they go right back and do the same thing that leads them to a state of negative emotion, exemplified in the form of an argument or a fight, to lead right back into the sack having that hot, steamy sex, cuddling, and talking nice to one another. It's a cycle. It's a cycle. And what happens is so much energy is involved in that cycle that it drains the spirit. It's draining on the soul. And that's why relationships eventually fall apart. Even those baby girl, sugar daddy type of scenarios, when it becomes real draining, whether it's the pimp hole, because hoes do leave pimps, by the way. You know, there's been a lot of hoes left pimps and wrote books, what have you, and became their own pimps, or they became madams, what have you, or they became escorts or call girls where they were in charge of, their actions. It resulted from leaving a pimp because that pimp hole relationship was too stressful, and that has happened. Many pimps out there will tell you that hoes left them because the hoe was fed up. And hoes do get fed up. And that takes a lot for a lot of females because some hoes out there that just beat down. Just beat down. So it really, really, really takes a lot. Years before she can muster up the courage that it takes to leave that pimp because she's leaving protection. She's leaving the fold. See, and that's her family. And so she's leaving that for nothing in many cases. But it was too weighing, too stressful, too exhaustive on her. So she makes the decision to leave. Same thing with that sugar daddy, baby girl type of situation. And the dude may take care of her and they have sex and things like that, but there's a lot of fighting. There's a lot of fighting. It's not smooth sailing. And so after, several years, the mucilage, it severs because one or both parties are drained, energetically drained. And when you deal with the boyfriend-girlfriend scenario, whereby you have, the occurrence, the arguing and, the fights and leading to sex in the form of a marriage. It could even be a marriage. But it could just be a boyfriend-girlfriend shacking up situation whereby that type of activity is taking place. It's draining on both parties or on one party more so than the other. Whereby that situation, the scenario is so draining, that party leaves the relationship. Or in some cases, both decide to leave because it's just too draining. The sex is great. And there's even that codependency. But the strain of the relationship is more powerful. So a decision is made by one party or both parties to leave. See, that doesn't have to be. That relationship doesn't have to be. In other words, that relationship doesn't have to be the way it is. Knowledge, consciousness could change that relationship. Because knowledge, self-knowledge, consciousness will cause an individual to choose the right partner. Whereby the right relationship, which is a salubrious or healthy relationship, results from a choice and a mate. And then right circumstances resulting from that right relationship made from that right choice. And the right circumstance is the sex act being predicated upon love. Both parties love each other and make a conscious decision to serve as a portal, a love gate, or the love gate for a soul to come through to get certain life lessons in order to do a certain life work. That's what two conscious individuals in love produce. The love gate. And when you have the opposite of that, two people who operate from the low level or the lower chakras, they come together and they unconsciously or indirectly choose or decide to serve as a portal for the lust gate, for a soul to come into existence through lust. That's what they are unconsciously and indirectly choosing to serve as. The lust gate, to bring certain souls onto this plane to get certain life lessons and to do certain things. And usually when a child comes through the lust gate and does not tap into self-knowledge and consciousness, then what they're here to do is wreak havoc, become a criminal, or just, just a burden to society. I'm not saying that if you come through the love gate, that's your destiny. But in most cases, if you come here and get those experiences and you don't learn the lessons, then you will actually check out from operating on the vibration from the lust gate. There's a vibration. You act lustful. Your decisions are based upon the lower nature. When you deal with lust, you're dealing with the lower nature. So if you don't change, your whole life is lived upon the lower nature. And living upon the lower nature is going to get you certain results. You're going to get certain circumstances leading to certain results. And if you don't become conscious, if you don't tap into self-knowledge, then you will check out, predicated upon living on that vibration, the lower level vibration. You will check out on that. And usually faster or sooner than later. Now, I think it's very important for me to talk about individuals who come through the lust gate. There are 3 gates, by the way, in which the soul can incarnate. That's the love gate, the lust gate, and the rape gate. Even the souls that come through the love gate, when they come through the love gate, they have that foundation that leads to success because they have the love, they have the nurturing, they have the protection, they have the guidance, they have the discipline. They have those positive things that are needed to create a very balanced human being. But just because you come through the love gate doesn't mean that you're automatically knowledgeable about self or even conscious. And so when you have individuals who come through the love gate and who are good people, but they're not spiritually aware, they too check out sooner rather than later. And when that happens to people who come through the love gate, who are good people, and they check out sooner rather than later, we end up saying, because we interpret that occurrence as the good dying young. And that's why good people die young. It's because of a lack of spiritual awareness. And when there's a lack of spiritual awareness, no matter how good you are subject to certain things. You are subject to certain things that can or that do lead to death. It happens all the time. All the time. And the rape gate, which is the worst of all 3 gates. Well, I shouldn't even say 3 because only 2 are your bad gates. But please don't think that the love gate means life is just straight. You're not going to have any problems. That you're not going to experience things that people who came through the lust gate experience, or the people who came through the rape gate experience. I don't want you to leave this video thinking that. No, because once you're here, you got work to do. The love gate just gives you a solid foundation. You're more equipped to handle the challenges of life. You're just equipped. Doesn't mean that you're going to, solve them, or overcome all of them. You're just more equipped and predicated upon your state of knowledge, self-knowledge, and consciousness. Predicated upon that. That's what determines overcoming the challenges of life. Because if you're on planet Earth, you're going to go through some challenges. If you come through the love gate, you're just more equipped to deal with those challenges, because love helps you to deal with challenges. Being nurtured, properly nurtured, paternally nurtured and maternally nurtured, it gives you an advantage. Having siblings, having family, eating at the table together, family time, tea time, going to a religious institution together, family vacations together, having a father that's talking to you about life, having a mother talking to you about life, being your steward or stewardess, being your counselor, because that's what parents serve until you can go out there and fly on your own, until you can clip your own wings. They're your counselors. I mean, they always serve as your counselor as long as they're here and you have a situation or relationship where you can go back and talk to your parents. Everybody don't have that. But when you have that, you know, where you can come back home and talk to ma or pa, where you can pick up the phone and talk to ma or pa. You know, mom, I'm experiencing this. Pops, I'm experiencing that. It could be about marriage. It could be about employment, the job, or what have you. You can get that necessary counseling, maternal counseling, paternal counseling. You a man, you got an issue with your woman. You talk to your mother. She give you insight into, you know, the female species. You talk to your father because you're going through something he went through with your mother. What did he do to overcome it? What did your mother do to overcome it? What can your mother tell you to give you insight into your woman? See, that gives you the advantage. Whereas if you come through the lust gate or the rape gate and you don't have stable people in your life, good people, salubrious people in your life to give you necessary counseling, you're lost and you're going to act on being lost. And so you're going to do things that are detrimental to yourself, to another person. You don't have the counseling. You don't have the counseling. And in a lot of instances, when you do have somebody in your life to give you counseling, it's not salubrious counseling. There may be some guy, maybe a pimp dude, a pimp type of dude, maybe a pimp or a pimp type of dude, a hustler, what have you. He may be that person to stand in the place of that father who would wisely counsel you and tell you what to do. And he can only tell you what he knows. So you a man and you in a relationship with a female and you got a problem. So you talking to this particular type of dude who has a particular type of knowledge that he's going to share with you. Man, this is how you treat them hoes, man. You can't trip on them. So what you do, don't talk to her ass for a couple of days. You know what I'm saying? You know, just ignore her. You know, just ignore her. You know, fuck with her head, mess with her mind. So, I mean, you know, you're getting advice, but is it good advice? Is it salubrious advice that a loving father would give you who has experience in love with a woman, your mother? No. Here's a dude who ain't got no love for women, and he's counseling you. He's giving you advice. And if you act on that advice, you're going to get a certain result. You're going to end up in a situation that you don't desire or may not desire. Because she's going to act a certain way. She may be more rebellious, or she may morph into the unskillful baby girl, the hoe, fearful that you're going to leave her, develop all type of pathology, sexual reproductive pathologies, all in relation to how you talk to her, how you treat her, predicated from the advice coming from someone else. And vice versa. Girl, don't give him none. Girl, you go on a coochie strike. You don't give him none. You let him go in the bathroom and masturbate. You make him miss you and miss your stuff. Don't give him none. See, the manipulation, you know, the games, all of this stuff is insalubrious, it's unhealthy. Because it doesn't get certain individuals what they desire. Certain people really do desire peace. They're in a relationship that's dysfunctional, and they truly do desire peace. They do desire love. It's unknown to them, and they don't know the proper ways of going about getting these things. Don't think that every female that's here that's angry really don't want love. I'm not saying that at all. Because there are females out here who overcame certain life lessons of abandonment, hating males because she hated the father, etc. They overcame that and ended up in a loving relationship with a man who truly does love her in a skillful sugar daddy type of situation. And sugar daddy just happens to be her husband or her man. So in that relationship, she calls the man daddy. But daddy's not manipulating her, putting her on the corner, using her. It's not like that. It's daddy. You had a lot of old couples back in the 60s and the 50s and the 40s. Where the man called the woman mama. And the woman, the female, called the man daddy. And these were terms of affection. My uncles used to use these terms. Grandparents used these terms. Hey, daddy. Your grandfather come into the house through the front door with groceries or coming home from work or what have you. Or just coming from wherever he's coming from. Hey, daddy. You hungry, daddy? I got your plate, daddy. Your plate is ready. And the man addressed her as mama. Hey, mama. Give her a hug, what have you. A gift. But see, nowadays, that's unskillful. Because a lot of hoes call their pimp daddy. I was watching a film produced by Jamal Faneca. I think it was called Soul Vengeance. And early off in the movie, there's a scene with the pimp and the prostitute. And the prostitute calls the pimp daddy. Hey, daddy, you sure know how to put your hoes in check, daddy. See, you have the skillful and you have the unskillful. Djehuty, you started off talking about the angry black female. I'm still talking about it because there's a flip side of anger, which is happiness. So my words in this video is an attempt to get these angry females to look into their anger at the root causes, to deal with it so that they can end up on the other side of that anger, which is happiness. Because it does exist. It does exist. There is polarity in all things. Even happy people experience anger or experience anger. See, Muhammad Ali became the greatest boxer of all time because he had experience in losing and winning. That made him balanced. Not Rocky Marciano, because Rocky Marciano was undefeated. All Rocky Marciano knew was winning. He didn't have knowledge of defeat, and defeat is knowledge. So-called failure is knowledge. Yes, it is. So a person who has knowledge of winning and a knowledge of defeat is more knowledgeable than a person who only knows winning or who only knows defeat. So negative emotion, even negative emotion, offers lessons to us that can and will allow us to grow, which is a positive thing. You can get positivity from negativity. Knowledge is key. Self-knowledge is key. Consciousness is key. And see, you hear me saying self-knowledge, self-knowledge, self-knowledge. The knowledge within self. Because the knowledge within self constitutes the answers that you're seeking about self. See, it's all about you here. And that's why you need self-knowledge. Because see, unlike with a married partner, a sibling, a co-ed, a co-worker, you got to live with yourself more than anybody else. You are always with yourself more than you are with anybody else. So it's very important that you are knowledgeable about self. A lot of people are not knowledgeable about self. When you have people who go to the doctor or who go to a naturopath and they say, something is wrong with me, and I don't know what's wrong with me. Tell me, you, doctor, strange person, naturopathic doctor, strange person, tell me about me. Tell me what's wrong with me. The doctor, whether allopathic or naturopathic, doesn't live with you. You're asking a stranger to tell you what's wrong with you. So you're unconscious. Because whatever is wrong with you, you're responsible for. You caused it. And you're with yourself 24/7. You're always with yourself. You're the only person who knows everything you do. Everything that you think, you know it. You know it. But then you're sick and you don't know why you're sick. See, you're living unconsciously. You're doing things and you're not aware of that which you're doing. And that's really most people. That's what's going on. They don't know. So they have to go to individuals, or they choose to go to individuals to give them insight into themselves. And that's what a great healer really does. That's what a great healer really is. Someone who's going to lead people back to self, not make them dependent on them and their product or information or advice. The true healer, the great healer, is going to lead people to self. They're going to ask questions to make the person think about their actions, the things that they're doing that leads them to a state of disease. That's what great healers do. You know, this is a great subject matter of mine, because relationship, or relationships, plural, are very important on this ride of life. And it is the emotions and the actions of people coming from a state of self-ignorance and unconsciousness that does damage, that does harm within relationships, harming other people who are also lacking self-knowledge and who are unconscious. Separating and going and hooking up with somebody else. And it's the same old, same old. Same result, same experience, and then they run and then they go to someone else. And it's the same old, same old. Like they say, what you run from, you run to. So you hear people saying, all my relationships are just alike. You know, all my men are just alike. You know, all the women I hook up with are just alike, man. You know, Djehuty, what's up with that? What's up with that? I'll tell you what's up with that. One big relationship with numerous individuals. That's all it is. Because it's the energy that you're sending out, attracting certain individuals. And you will keep doing that until you get the lesson. That's why relationships are so invaluable, because relationships offer lessons. So you have individuals who say, I'm done with relationships. So what they're saying is, I'm done with life lessons. You have to be careful when you say that, because it may be time for you to check out, so you can reincarnate and start the process all over again. I'm done. I'm done with love. I'm done loving people. What? You gonna stay on earth and not love even yourself? Because when you talk about not loving another, you're also stating that you're not gonna love yourself. You can only say that you're not going to love another predicated upon not loving yourself. When you love yourself, you don't talk like that. You don't talk like that, no matter what people do. You never say, hey, I'm done loving. You can't say that. Because the love you have for other people is a reflection of the love that you have for yourself. When you love yourself, you never give up on love. I'm done loving my children. They just hard-headed. They don't listen. I'm done. But you're going to love yourself. No. I'm done loving men. I'm done loving women. I'm done. I get hurt. You need to check yourself. You really need to check yourself. And again, that goes back to doing the work And I'm telling you, doing the work, that is the most difficult thing for human beings, especially here in the Western world. It is the most difficult, most challenging thing. I deal with people all the time who refuse to do the work. They're quick to call me. They're quick to get mad at me because I'm not available for them, because they have issues. And they think that I am the answer. They look up to me and trust me more than they trust themselves. How do you think I ended up being who I am and the way that I am? I learned to trust myself above and beyond anybody else. And I don't care what university or institution they went to or attended. I don't care what type of certificates, diplomas, licenses. I don't care what they possess. Nobody is the authority on me, more so or beyond or before me. Nobody knows more about me than I do. Therefore, I am the authority of self. I am the authority of Djehuty Ma'atra, just like you're the authority of you. Can you dig it? You're the authority. You are the authority. And when you start dealing with self as authority, then you're dealing with truth. Then you're dealing with truth. And when you're dealing with truth, or when you begin to deal with truth, then you start seeing the truth as authority rather than the authorities of the world as truth. And many people do. Well, we can't question the government. We take the government's words as the truth. The official version, which means the government version, and law, official means government. When you see official business, that means government business. When you see the cars with no DMV tags and it says official, they don't have tags because they're government. And government has exempted itself from issuing tags. They don't have to have tags that expire like residents do. Official, that means government. So when you have the official version of the Kennedy assassination, or the official version of 9/11, what you have is you have the government's version of the Kennedy assassination or 9/11 or whatever else. And for the majority of people, they accept the government, which is worldly authority, as the truth. Their version is the truth. And in actuality, it's a lie. And so when you accept the lie and act on the lie, you arrive at harm. You arrive at harm. Because that same authority, worldly authority, government that you trust harms you. Taxes you, take your money that you need for yourself. Issue random forms of taxation, parking tickets, traffic tickets. Harms you. Because you accept authority, worldly authority, as truth rather than the truth as authority. So that's very, very, very important. Very, very important. It's very important that you know self and accept self, yourself, as the authority on you. Then you begin to live in your truth. And the more you live in your truth, the more you become the authority on you. You know what's best for you. And it doesn't matter what anybody else outside of you thinks. You have the authority on yourself, not another person, not an institution or entity of the world of the matrix. You're the authority. And when you live on that, you're living on truth. And when you live on truth, you are empowering yourself. You are empowered. Because that's what truth does. It empowers. When you begin to live on truth, predicated upon yourself as the authority, you get liberated. Because that's what the truth does. It liberates you. It frees you. That's why truth is a very dangerous thing in the matrix. And you have individuals who take extreme measures in suppressing the truth. Not just about things that happen in the world and society, but even the truth about you. Who you are as a human being. Why you're here on the planet. They will take serious, extreme measures to suppress truth. The truth about spirituality, they'll suppress it. And then they'll issue you religion. And anything somebody outside of self, especially the government, issues to you is no good for you. It's good for them, but no good for you. You've got to become the authority on self. You have to. Everything I'm saying in this video is applicable to all of us, including males, because we're dealing with issues of anger as well, and I will deal with that in a separate video. But we're dealing with the angry black female in particular, angry female in general. So that anger comes from perception. I was in love. Daddy didn't want me. Anger. What's wrong with me? What did I do? You got some females blaming themselves. He left because of me. And she never met him, but is here. She chooses to think like that, to believe like that. Anger, she just can't figure it out. And it's in a child to know who the father is, who the mother is. You see children who were put up for adoption 18, 20, 25, 30, 40 plus years later, seeking out the biological parent or parents. It's in the child to know its lineage. Even if that female ends up with a so-called stepfather who loves her to the degree of a biological father loving a daughter, a child that he sired. Even if she has that, she will still wonder and think about who is her biological father. Who is the man that gave me up for adoption? Who is the man who left my mother? Who is the man that left me? Who is the man that is responsible for me being here in the fleshly body, but who left me? Who did not want to be in my life? Who is he? It's a question. You have females out there, and I have spoken to a lot of them. Oh, I don't care about my daddy. I don't care about him. He was never on the scene anyway. And the simple fact that they talk like that, to me, it reveals their hurt. See, they have to pretend that they don't care. Most of them care. And you got some females, they own drugs, alcohol, they're out, they're gone. They don't even care about themselves. So they don't care about a biological father. Well, for a lot of these females, like was shown in, I believe his name is James Morton. He has a video called Dear Daddy. Emotionally powerful. It's called Dear Daddy, directed by James Morton. And that video, man, it disturbed me. I wanted to just reach out and hug those young females. You know, to just let them know that you are loved. Even if you don't get that love from a father, which is very important, they still need to hear that they are loved, that they are beautiful, that they are cared for. It helps. It may never be to the degree of hearing that from a man, the biological father, but it helps. Those little black girls were sobbing. I just want to know why he left me, and you know, and I'm so angry, and I mean, they're really messed up. They're really messed up. And I have eyes to see deep within. Beautiful, sweet souls. Beautiful, sweet souls. There's something about myself. I'm very sensitive to those type of situations because I understand them. And the root is love. It's a girl's nature to be loved. They are creatures of love. I look at my wife a lot, and I just think to myself, like, wow, she is a love bug. She is a creature of love. And like a lot of women that I'm talking about in this video, she was full of anger. And she dealt with her parents divorcing at a very early age. Father on the scene, but not on the scene. And there were certain circumstances that came out of that. But the anger, man, those early years, they were there. Even though she tried to suppress them, it was there. I remember doing an angel card reading. And the card that I selected or that popped up said, you have to forgive your parents. And there was that anger, that hurt from the divorce, creating or leading to that imbalance. Because that's what happens. It leads to an imbalance. When you take the parents away, imbalance. This is why in the occult, if two people divorce before a child reaches the age of 13, because 13 is the age of being conscious, and that's why in government, the legal age is 12. It's either 13 or 12. Because a child has more of a foundation at accepting divorce, separation of the parents, has more of a foundation than being age 2, or 3 or 5 or 7 or 8. I mean, it's always detrimental, but a child is more equipped to deal with it when it has 13 years of life under a mother, a functional mother, and a functional father. So when it happens when a child is 5 and 7, very detrimental. Very detrimental. So the ages of a child deals with, it ties into the degree of the severity of the divorce or separation or whatever it may be. Whatever it may be. Estrangement, just going AWOL on the marriage. So it's very important that people begin to do the self-work. Read into the negative emotion. Read into the anger. Don't suppress the anger. That's fake. Trying to suppress the anger. What you suppress will be expressed someplace else through a leak. Don't suppress. Express. That's why I express myself. You all have seen my videos expressing myself. Damn, Djehuty is like straight going ham, and man, you don't always see me like in this video. You don't always see me just going ham. You see the totality of Djehuty Madra. The frowns, the smiles, the anger, the frustration, the love, the gentleness, the kindness. You see it all. Because the complete human being is a holistic human being, is a total human being. And a lot of people fake the funk. I mean, people like that all the time. All the time. They're fake. They want to come off as being spiritual and always nice and pleasant. But if you could see them behind closed doors and the things that they do, they're like Glenn Close character in the movie Fatal Attraction. These people are scary. And they exist. They're fake. They're fake. And there's no need to be fake. See, profanity cannot take away your spirituality when you're spiritually conscious. Can't take away from it. Expressing yourself can't take away from being spiritual. Talking about ugly things in and of the world cannot take away from your spirituality. So why hide certain things? So why suppress certain things? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. We suppress things of a taboo nature. And that which is taboo is still something that human beings do. You're just not supposed to talk about it. It's incorrect to talk about it. It's not proper to talk about it. But it's happening. People are doing things that they're ignorant about, getting a result that they don't understand. In most cases, they don't want. It leads to disease. They don't want the disease. What's the remedy? In order to know what the remedy is or to arrive at the remedy, you got to look into the thing. You got to look into that which is taboo. And then people wonder why I deal with things of a taboo nature. Because I know dis-ease derives from that which is taboo, because that which is taboo is still an action. And for every action is an equal and corresponding reaction. Period. I understand that. So I choose to deal with things of a taboo nature to help people arrive at solutions. Now, anger is not taboo. It's not taboo. However, for most people and their understanding of anger in relation to dealing with anger, it's like that which is taboo. It's suppressed. Suppression of anger. That's not a healthy thing. It's going to come out. So you're dating a guy and you suppress the anger. At some point it's going to come out. Because people hit triggers. I've dealt with females who had anger problems. The anger from childhood. From the mother, from the father, from the poor choices. I mean, the anger, it's the anger stems from so many areas. Nevertheless, it is anger, but it stems from so many areas, and so you have to look at those areas in order to arrive at solutions for healing that anger. So the anger coming from a daddy. You know, I wrote my life script. You know, we contracted for him to play this role so that I can get the experience of abandonment. Because in a past life, I abandoned my son. So we contracted for the next life for him to serve as my father, and he will leave me, so I'll be abandoned, so I can get the lesson of abandonment. And then I don't have to experience that lesson ever again. I can move on. See, that's the purpose of life. But see, when you don't have spiritual eyes, you don't see it that way. You don't see it that way. I mean, man, life makes sense. Your birth date, your birth name, they come with karmic debts, karmic obligations. They come with them because they're lessons for you to learn things that you didn't learn the last go around. And see, when you learn a lesson, you never have to repeat that lesson again. It's growth. So that's why you got to look at the root of these things. The things that you consider issues and blocks and challenges, the things that are robbing you of a salubrious life. You have to look at them. You have to look at anger. You can't be afraid of anger. Your anger is fire. Anger will burn. Anger will burn you. But at the same time, just like fire, anger can be contained. You can contain it in order to steady it. So now you understand the life script, the lesson of abandonment. So you forgive your pops. He played his role. Because at the end of the day, it's about you. You're not here to live for your mother or your father. You're here for you. He played a role in getting you here in the fleshly body. That's his role. Because at the end of the day, it's about you and your life lesson. You're going to make the transition again one day. And then things are going to be different. Your mother, your siblings, your lovers, they're going to be different. So you can't trip out on what's going on in the 3D realm. It's a temporary realm. You can go through your whole life mad at your daddy. Like this is the only life you're going to have, the experience of dealing with a daddy. Learn the lesson so you can experience that positive relationship of the daddy, even if you incarnate as the daddy to some child. You have to learn and grow so you can begin to look at things like that. I'm telling you, when you arrive at this state here, life really is smooth. It really is, quote unquote, honky-dory, peaches and cream. All that in a bag of chips. It really is. You don't trip. You be like, I forgot the lesson. I forgot what I signed up for. I take responsibility. I'm accountable. I'm responsible. And let me tell you something, dealing with empowerment, oh, you do not become empowered when you don't take personal responsibility and becoming personally accountable for your thoughts and actions. You don't become empowered. You don't live in truth when you don't take personal responsibility. See, these are things that a lot of people are afraid of. Not wanting to be responsible, not wanting to take accountability. So they just run, having no idea they're running to the thing that they're running from. For what you run from, you run to. That's what's going on with people. I sit and just watch people and just laugh at people like, wow. What you run from, you run to. And that's why with a lot of people, it's the same old, same old. 5 years later, 10 years later, 15 years later, 20 years later, it's the same old, same old. Because they keep running to the thing they're running from. And because they lack self-knowledge, because they are not aware, they're not conscious, they don't know why. They keep running to the same thing. They don't know why, that they don't stop and deal with the thing they're running from, so that they don't have to run anymore. Because running and running and running and running and running and running and running eventually becomes tiring. You tire out. And that's a lot of people. So a lot of people are like, I'm just tired. Djehuty, I'm tired, man. I'm tired. Same thing in relationships. Women, Djehuty, I'm tired. I'm just tired. I'm so drained. I'm tired. Just tired of going through this. I'm tired. Then deal with it. Deal with it. See, that comes from here. The flame is dwindling and you feel it. You see. So when you start working on self, looking at what you deem to be ugly, like skillful emotions, what have you, and arriving at truth, the origins of them, and then doing the opposite that led to these unskillful emotions, and then start reaping the benefits of doing something different or the opposite of the emotions, and then feeling differently, like good and happy and joyous and all those positive attributes, then the flame, it enhances. It enhances. Now, on the flip side, it dwindles because you're drained, you're stressed. Your soul is heavy. You're not learning. You're not getting the lessons that you signed up for. But when you start getting the lessons and benefiting from the lessons, that spark, it grows. And then life becomes full of passion, full of joy. You're really living. You're living and you're alive. You're alive and you're living. You've dealt with the root causes of your blocks, your challenges. It wasn't an external factor. The external only reflected the inner. I tell people all the time, in getting to where I am today, that I had to deal with the inner. I had to deal with the inner. And for me, it really began in 2002 after my divorce from my first wife. I was sitting in the tub and I was listening to my elementary school graduation theme song by Mr. George Benson, The Greatest Love of All. And that was my graduation theme song. Like a lot of songs, I heard them or I listened to them, but I didn't hear them. I didn't have ears to hear. And one day in 2002, I was in the tub taking a 2-hour soak, or maybe a 3-hour soak. It was late at night. I had the radio next to the tub. And I was listening to George Benson's greatest hits. And the last track on that CD, or it could have been an audio cassette tape, it was The Greatest Love of All. And for the first time, I listened to the lyrics. Learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all. And 2002 was the year that I officially began to learn to love myself. Now, I cared about myself and I love myself, but to the degree that I love myself, it wasn't the same as loving myself after 2002. However, I was growing in knowledge, self-knowledge, and becoming conscious. So what little love I had in the early 1990s, it was growing. The more I was growing in knowledge and becoming conscious, the love of self was growing. And then I got to the point in 2002 when I slowed my roll. 86, just about everybody in my life. Wife was gone, her best friends were gone, the Conscious Minds group was gone. My best friend, Adam Gordon, of 17 years, he was gone. And that was pursuant to my choice. Because he would call me and tell me negative things about my ex-wife, what she was saying about me, what she was planning to do. And he got a thrill out of giving me the negative message or messages. Like he was helping me. Man, she gonna file child support on you, man. Yeah, man, she also said this, she also said that. He got a thrill out of that. And I had made up my mind, I didn't want to hear that. Because I knew that my ex-wife became angry. And I know I didn't hit on it in this video, but a lot of females, they may come up with a father. Like my ex-wife, she had a father in the family life. But she did end up as an angry black female for a time in her 20s because what happened with us. And she became very angry. She was an angry black woman. And I can still see the residuals of her being angry. Now, she's come a long way, but it's still there. And I can see it in her eyes. And I can see it in the relationship with my eldest daughter and her. I listen to the mother-daughter interactions. And a lot of the anger that my ex-wife gave to my daughter at times give back to my ex-wife. And you know, I mean, I feel good knowing the root cause. I don't trip. You were angry at me and wanted her and her brother to be angry at me. You dished out anger. And see, anger is energy, and all energy is cyclical. It's going to come back around. So my daughter's not angry or upset with me. We're dear friends. She loves to talk to me. She sent me a text last week saying that I am my father's child because she's just like me. And so we're partners. Now, you know, she loves her mother, but nevertheless, you got that whole mother-daughter loving war situation jumping off. And I'm going to make a video about that. Mother-daughter, the loving war. And I said it in this video. It's not just the father that a lot of these females, and in particular, black African American females, are upset with. It's also the mamas. A lot of anger there, a lot of anger. And when I was dealing with Alexis, that really came out. Man, there's some deep stuff there with the mother. Even my biological mother, there were some things there with the mother. With Veronica, I mean, just hatred of the mother. Man, I see it. I see it with a lot of females, man. A lot of females have a love-hate relationship with their mothers. I'll address that in another video. I need to wrap up this whole anger thing here. But in 2002, I consciously listened to the lyrics of the song. Learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all. And that night in the tub, I began kissing myself, loving myself. I mean, man, it was awesome. It was awesome. That's what started things. That's what led me to where I am right now. It's to the point now, I'm like, yo, get back, go, go. Because when you love yourself, others will begin to love you. When you enjoy being by yourself, it creates the desire for others to be around you, to be with you. It's a strange dynamic, but doing the work, learning certain things, is what get you what most people want. They want to be popular. They want to be loved. They want people around them. And they can get it, but they have to do the work. And people don't want to do the work. What is it about her? What is it about him? They did the work. You got to do the work. I was dealing with mother-son issues that stem from my mother's actions against my father in the marriage. From a little boy witnessing things, a lot of lies, a lot of games. Even as a little boy, I knew that was not proper, that was not correct. Why do that to this man? He's a good man. And a few years before she died, we had a lot of conversations, and I was able to address a lot of these things that I had witnessed as a little boy that created anger in me. And that helped me to forgive her. Well, son, I was mad at your daddy. I just wanted him to do certain things for my children that, other men were doing. I wanted him to take you guys to amusement parks and on vacations. I said, okay, I understand that. But I told her, I said, even though I remember going to SeaWorld and Universal Studios and Magic Mountain and Disneyland and Knott's Berry Farm and all the other places we went to, and they're dear to me, but not as dear as all of the times that Pops spent coaching us on the basketball court and playing baseball and just sitting in the car and talking. They don't come near those times. So if Pops had never done those things, I'd still be straight, because Pops spent the necessary amount of time with his children, especially with myself. And so you wanted that. I mean, yeah, we did benefit. We got an experience. But if we didn't get the experience, how could we have missed what we never had? So your anger came from what you wanted, what you felt was good for the children. And I'm not saying it was bad for us, but a lot of things she did to get her way, I just didn't agree with them. And it goes back to the whole sex thing of people don't know how to initiate what they desire. So my mother, served as the impetus. She would do certain things to get Pops to act, because that's the only thing she knew. She was an Aries too, so a lot of fire. I saw a lot of fire in that woman. Aries have big hearts, but they're ruled by Mars. And when you do a fire, you're dealing with passion. And there's negative, there's positive. And I saw both with my mother. But I'll tell you, what stands out more as far as me focusing on to study was the negative. It was the negative. I mean, you know how it is in this world. We take the good, for granted. It's good. We're supposed to be good, right? But when things are bad, we march and we boycott, and it's not right. It's not right. It gets our attention more so than that which is right, because really right is our nature. We're cool with that, because deep down inside we know that that's how it's supposed to be. But some of us get messed up because we think it's only supposed to be that way. No, there's polarity in all things. And so the anger that I witnessed in my mother, it consumed her at times. That gave me insight into self-control. And I've witnessed a lot of females, males too, but mostly females, acting out of anger. You're never going to say the right thing from a state of anger. And you're not going to do the right thing in a state of anger. And you know what I'm talking about. You've acted in anger only to calm down and feel bad about the thing you did in anger. I'm sorry. I was angry. Why are you apologizing? Because you did harm in your angered state. Anger is hurtful. Anger hurts people. And hurt people have a motive to hurt other people. That's what hurt people do. Hurt people hurt people. They're hurt, so they want others to be hurt. It's a form of misery, which loves company. So I studied anger from a very, very, very early age in life with my mother, also my father, hell, even myself. Being a Taurus, didn't know anything about Taurus. My siblings, anger stood out. With family members, anger, anger. I used to feel so bad after acting out of anger. I would have fights with my best friends. And for whatever reasons, I always won the fights. While all the other school children gave me daps, props, and accolades for beating up my best friends, I felt horrible. And I've always had that big heart, that generous heart. And while everybody else was saying, man, Ernest beat up Jerry, man, Ernest got Michael good. While people were saying that, I was thinking about what I could do to make up. I would say to myself, I'm going to go to the corner store early in the morning. I'm going to buy a whole bunch of candy for Jerry. Because I felt really, 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 really bad. And I knew that wasn't for me. I knew it was not for me. I didn't like how I felt afterwards. And I became conscious of that feeling afterwards. Or when you make up and things are cool again and you feel good. I like that state. How do I stay in that state? See, I have to deal with anger in order to deal with the opposite side of anger. And that's forgiveness. Forgiving others and then also forgiving yourself. But see, forgiveness is fake if you don't understand why you did the things that you did, the severity of the damage. You have to look at things from a holistic perspective. Because when you truly forgive, you don't do those things that you did, requiring forgiveness over or again. You don't do them. It's like sorry. When you're truly sorry, you don't do the things that make you sorry. A lot of people don't understand that. So it's a trite word. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Get out of here with that. Don't be sorry. Just don't do the thing. Then you wouldn't have to be sorry because sorry is sorry. It's a sorry word. Oh, I'm sorry. Like sorry makes things better. Don't do the thing that leads you to be or become sorry. Become conscious. So the same thing with anger. Deal with anger. Look into anger. Why are you angry? He wronged me. Somebody wronged me. Well, what role did you play in being wrong? Oh, I didn't do nothing. I'm innocent. No, but it takes two to tango. So what role did you play? The law of attraction is always at work. I didn't do anything, Djehuty. I mean, people just mess with me. I'm innocent. I never do anything to people. I'm always innocent, Djehuty. I'm loving. I give to people. Boy, them sirens in Glendale, boy, a lot. You would think this is Compton, California, or Wausau, South Central. That's the one thing I say about Glendale. Them sirens. Police sirens, ambulance sirens. Loud. Anyway. I didn't do nothing, Djehuty. You didn't? I'm innocent. I'm innocent. Really? See, that's talking from a state of unconsciousness. You're not conscious. You're not knowledgeable about self. You don't know thyself. You innocent. You didn't do anything. You don't understand universal law. And so things don't make sense to you. So in your mind, you're a victim. I'm just a victim. Everybody just messed with me. I don't do nothing. I don't know why. And it keeps happening. Because you're not conscious. And because you're not conscious, you cannot look at the role you play in certain things, certain scenarios, leading to certain results. You don't see the role you play in them. So you keep repeating them. You're mad at your father. Then you're mad at your uncles. Then you're mad at your male friends. Then you're mad at your boyfriends. Then you're mad at your husband. Your whole life situation, relationships with males are negative, don't serve you. Because you never dealt with the root of the anger. You hate your daddy so much, you go out there and attract your daddy in the form of a bedmate or a boyfriend or a husband. And that's why it is said to forgive your father, lest you end up married to your father in the form of another man, your boyfriend, husband, or whoever. Forgive your mother, lest you end up married to your mother. I learned certain lessons that I needed to learn about my mother through marriage. Because both wives at times displayed certain things of my mother. Not just negative, good too. But nevertheless, there were just certain traits that reminded me of my mother. And I had to deal with them through my wife. Moms wasn't on the scene for me to deal with them. And it will happen like that. And right now I'm speaking towards males. It'll happen like that. If you don't do it while your mother is alive, and there's a lesson that you need to learn that you signed up for, you most definitely will get that lesson in a relationship, if you're in a relationship. If not, then of course, then you will transition, reincarnate, and you will revisit that lesson. You're going to get that lesson in this lifetime or the next or a subsequent lifetime. But if there's a lesson pertaining to you and your mother, if she transitions and you get into that relationship or that marriage, chances are it may extend in that marriage. Because it's not so much about your mother, it's about the lesson. Your mother played a vital role in you getting the lesson. And a lot of time your mother can pass the baton to your girlfriend or your wife for you to get the lesson. So they work together. It's like a tag team. It's a beautiful thing. If you have eyes to see, then you get the lesson. So you get the lesson and you deal with the forgiveness of your mother, or it could be of your father. Then your relationship is going to improve because you got over the hump. You have to, change yourself. You have to work on yourself. At the end of the day, you're here to work on yourself. Helping other people is a byproduct of you working on yourself. And because I dealt with everything I need to deal with my mother and my father, I can make another video about the things that I went through with my father. However, getting over the hump, dealing with the challenges, the negative things that were said in a state of anger, or the things that I saw those two do to each other, which I didn't like or felt robbed me of certain aspects of my childhood. Getting over that, dealing with that, helped myself to become liberated, to become at peace, and not have to witness those things or experience those things in my relationship, which is a beautiful thing. I'm conscious. My wife is conscious. Little children don't need to hear certain things. It's very, very, very deep. Children do not need to consume certain things. Junk food, candy. They don't need to hear certain things. They don't need to see certain things. So you become a conscious parent. Y'all come together and create the love gate. You bring children here in loving fashion, giving them a foundation. And when they're here, you have to become more conscious so that they don't hear certain things or see certain things. But see, what's even more important is that you and your mate don't play a role in creating certain things that you don't want your child to hear and or see. Conscious living. So I look at my children today, and my children, even my marriage, it reminds me of my mother and my father and my siblings. It's just alike. It really is. It really is. I'm like, man, I ended up as pops and my wife ended up as moms, and I got my boys that remind me of Shay Shay, Mike, and myself. And it's wow. Like, man. But it's so much better. Oh, it's so much better. And I'm so happy for my boys. And you see the difference when children come through the love gate. When they develop in a womb of a woman who is not angry. And you know, I have that a scenario where there's a child, my wife's daughter from a previous, who was not conceived the way my boys were conceiving. I mean, when it's in the same house, you just get to see. The child that was not conceived through the love gate is very problematic, has more issues and challenges than the children conceived and who came through the love gate. It's night and day, you can see it. Physically, mentally, on all levels. On all levels. You become a scientist, you study. You study. You study. And I study all the time. And I look at my boys like, man, just happy children. So much better than myself when I grew up in South Central Los Angeles. They don't have to worry about gangs or gang violence and, drugs. I'm not saying that, Glendale is perfect, but it's night and day. Their little eyes just have not seen certain things, have not heard certain things. I remember being in South Central eating dinner, you hear gunshots and, we had to hit the floor. Police sirens, ghetto bird, or the helicopter hovering around. A lot of stress. It's like that scene in the movie Boys in the Hood, where Cuba Gooding goes to his girlfriend's house, Brandy's house, and he's just mad. He's just swinging. I'm tired of this shit, man. I'm just tired. I mean, it really takes a toll on you. My children can't relate to that. My children can't relate to not having food and, having utilities turned off because the bill wasn't paid, couldn't be paid, because the money wasn't there. Pop wasn't making enough, predicated upon the knowledge he had. The less knowledge, the less income. That's why my father was on us to go to school, because he thought that was, the way to go. Be better than him. He only went to the 10th grade, so it was very important for all of his children to graduate. We did. But if you just stop there, you just are rung higher than him. Still doesn't mean you're going to generate enough income. And me being an Aquarian soul, with Aquarius on the cusp of the 4th house, I was that black sheep of the family, the quark reversal. So yeah, I graduated from the public school system, but I knew that it was not over with as far as me learning. The learning really began after I graduated. And after watching Eyes on the Prize in 1989, that was it for me. I lived at the black bookstores, most of which are defunct nowadays, but back then on the scene, they were there. And I spent a lot of money. And I have all of those books. Every book that I bought, every book that I purchased, I have in that collection. And it feels good that I can go back and revisit those books that help to open my eyes and that I can pass down to my children. It's a great investment. A great investment. And about 6 years later, I became conscious about the wife. And I talked about this in a previous video where I was in Gardena, California. And during those days, I used to wonder about a wife. Will I ever get married? Will I ever be able to take care of a woman and a child? And it wasn't on the scene. It wouldn't happen for another 4 years. But I was very conscious of being a man, being a father, being a provider, a protector, being like my father. It was heavy. And I began attracting the necessary information to become that which I desired. I didn't learn getting with a woman. I mean, you always learn when you get with the woman, but I put in the work beforehand. If you want something, you practice for it. You prepare yourself for it. Because when you start preparing for a thing, you're actually creating or setting in motion the opportunity for that thing to occur. And there's nothing like preparation meeting opportunity. And it came. And I was prepared. So I didn't do things to my children that my parents did unto me. I didn't circumcise my boys. I didn't get my daughter's ears pierced as a little baby. Just didn't do certain things. I didn't use mineral oil on their skin, baby powder. I didn't give them baby food, Gerber's baby food. They didn't have that. They didn't have Similac, Pro Soybean, Enfamil. They didn't have that. They didn't wear Pampers. You know, they wore seventh generation and not Huggies. There's another brand that's well known out there. Environmentally friendly products. I used expensive shea butter soap, $8 a bar, real essential oils. I planned certain things and I was able to act out what I planned. I witnessed it. I witnessed my wife's prenatal regimen. I witnessed that. It was in my mind, but then I witnessed it. I saw her drinking vegetable juice and overdosing on alfalfa. I saw the breast milk pumped or expelled and it was green because of all the alfalfa. You know, I saw the skin glow. I saw my daughter's skin glow. I saw my daughter born coming out the yoni with her eyes open and her little neck so strong she could turn. I mean, just coming out the womb. I saw stuff, man, that I just didn't know that shifted my paradigm. I thought babies came out and eyes closed, and I learned something. The reason why babies came out like that in the early baby pictures of the 60s and 70s, the pictures always had the baby with their eyes closed, with a black ring around the eyes. The baby was stressed. The baby was drugged. I mean, when you're born, man, you're alive. You're coming into life. But if you come into life like that, you're drugged. You remove the drugs, the baby is coming through, eyes wide open. It's going to place faces with sounds. It's here now. But we were drugged. We were given sugar in the water. Our parents didn't know. They didn't know. But it's okay when you consider that we did come through the love gate and we had that foundation. We had that foundation. We had the mother and the father who believed in us, who trusted us. And their state of consciousness gave us certain lessons. Their state or states of consciousness, both of them, their state of consciousness gave us certain lessons. Because they did certain things unto us predicated upon their knowledge, their level of knowledge. So with their level of knowledge pertaining to diet, they did certain things whereby we got certain life lessons. Their level of knowledge pertaining to finances gave us certain life lessons. See, it all works out. So you got to get to the point where you forgive, man. Whether pops and moms was on the scene and they did certain things, or you felt that they did certain things to you, you got to forgive, man. You chose them. You chose them, man. You choose everything and everybody in your life, so you got to take responsibility for your life. You choose, man. You choose. So you got to forgive your mother. You got to forgive your father. Your angry black female, you got to forgive your father. He fulfilled his contract so you can get a certain lesson. Don't you know that the people who come through the lust gate and the rape gate and who do the work become some of the greatest, most powerful people on the planet? They have more challenges And the more challenges you overcome, the greater you become. So actually, people who come through the rape and lust gate have potential to become some of the greatest people on the planet. But that's only after they deal with the challenges, and they are plentiful because they don't have that foundation. So they got to learn lessons about love and trust, you know, and protection and integrity. So many things. But when they put in the work, they become some powerful individuals. And there are a lot of powerful individuals. When you listen to their life story, they came through the lust gate. They had to deal with hang-ups on not being loved, being abandoned, being abused, being sexually molested, being raped, being betrayed. I mean, you name it. It's on the resumes of these individuals who are doing great work and great service on the scene today. And they came through the love gate and the rape gate. But they took control of their lives. They took control of their perception. Just because I came through the lust gate doesn't mean I have to operate on that level or stay in that class of beings that came here through the lust gate and end up as degenerates. Yeah, I came through the lust gate, but I'm checking out through love. I'm checking out as a child rather than an old man or an old woman. I'm checking out a certain way because I made changes. I came through the lust gate, but I'm not bringing more souls on the planet through the lust gate. I choose to bring them through the love gate. There's a choice. So you have a lot of people who came through the lust gate, but who worked on themselves and blossomed as a human being, attracted another person that reflected them, that complemented them, and they created the love gate to bring souls through the love gate. They decided to do something differently. I have male cousins who are hurt. And again, I will make the video dealing with males, the angry black male, the angry male in general. I got male cousins to this day who are hurt at what their fathers did to them. And they desire to have my father. Like my cousin Keith on the day of my father's funeral, who told me, he said, cousin, if I had your father, if Uncle Ernest was my father, I'll be knocking balls out of Dodger Stadium tonight. I didn't have that guidance, man, so I got caught up. I was a teen father. I lost my scholarship, and I ended up working the supermarket and running the streets. And he attributes how he turned out to his father. How he turned out, he attributes to his father. Leroy, chasing women, doing crack cocaine, left his mother, divorced my auntie. So he hit the streets, and my cousin Kev hit the streets, but hit the streets in the form of selling crack cocaine and ended up getting shot at age 20. And I saw the damage. I saw it. I saw what happened when my uncle Leroy left my aunt Iris. I saw what happened. I saw. Both of my cousins were never the same. My cousin Dave, when Sam the Bam Cunningham left his mother Barbara, wasn't the same. And I could see that as a boy. My parents were together. Everybody knew about Ernest and Bonnie. And the only exception was Adie and Ivory, my mother's sister Ivory. They're still married to this day. That was the exception. All the other cousins, parents were divorced. But the cool thing about that situation back in the 70s and the early 80s was that the divorced parents, they got along. It's not like nowadays. Oh my goodness, it's horrible. Males and females hate each other at each other's throat and talking negative about one parent to the child and won't let one parent see the other child. Child support battle is crazy nowadays. We didn't see that back in the 70s and the 80s. And in some cases, we still thought that our uncles and aunts were still married by the way they carried on and treated themselves. My Uncle Sam, when he would see Barbara, Hey, baby, how you doing? And give her a hug. They'd laugh together. It was like they were married. We didn't even know back then. Because when we saw them together at family functions. So yeah, we thought they were together. We didn't know they were divorced based upon the way they carried themselves and the way they acted. You don't see that nowadays in most cases. You don't see that. But I got cousins right now who have morphed, who made the choice to morph into their fathers. Cheating on good women, because of their hang-ups as men and destroying a good thing. And that happens all the time. A lot of time, ladies, when a fella cheats on you, it's not necessarily you, but him. He's acting on a program to self-sabotage because he doesn't feel worthy of you. So by cheating on you, gives him the justification of not being with you because you're going to boot him. You're going to boot him out, which happened. Because my cousin Keith, he didn't feel worthy of Rhonda. He didn't feel worthy. And she became the breadwinner and carried the family. And that greatly affected my cousin. And so he acted on his programming. He acted on his programming and got out of that relationship and got right back into the same relationship. Even though he didn't get married, he got with another female. It was honky-dory for a good 6 months to a year. And then it was the same old, same old. They became enemies because he cheated on her. And he was getting with women for his self-esteem. Because when a man stops working, a real woman, she's going to lose respect for that man. She may have it in the beginning and give him a chance. But when she sees he's not attempting to improve himself, that respect begins to dwindle. And it's hard for a woman to love a man she does not respect. I saw that. I saw that. So ladies, there are situations whereby the man cheats on you, but it's not a reflection of you, that you're not pleasing him, sexually, treating him a certain way. These are inner demons. These are inner demons pertaining to manhood, him being a man. And he's lost. And usually, this type of man did not have a father in his life, or he had a father who was on the scene but wasn't on the scene. Wasn't there for him emotionally, wasn't emotionally available. Come through every now and then on the weekends, give him some money, like money can make up for, missed time. No. He morphs into a man. He doesn't know how to be a father. He never dealt with his issues arriving from childhood. Cousin David, same thing. Beautiful woman, he cheats on them. And these women are good women. You go to YouTube and you see a lot of videos about black women are negative and ain't no good black woman. And that's a bunch of BS, man. That's a bunch of BS. The negative is always highlighted. There are beautiful sisters out there, beautiful black women. And I've been married twice to beautiful black women. They were not perfect, but they were beautiful. They were not these twerkers and swinging around poles, and that wasn't them. They wanted marriage. They wanted to be wives. I mean, women right now, and they're just distraught because they want a husband. They want to be married. They want to be married. They want to have children. They want family. But they're having difficulty finding men who want the same thing. They're out there. They're out there. And anytime you can find that in a woman, it's a beautiful thing. When my wife and I hooked up, and we would talk about family, and we would compare the present to the past and how family was. We could connect, and we wanted that. We remembered the 60s and the 70s and how family was, how black family was, and how important that was. And we made a choice to have that. We wanted that. And it's beautiful to all be under the same roof, to come home and you smell the spices from the kitchen and the music playing and your children running to the door and daddy, 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 and so happy to see you. That's empowering, man. It helps to counter neutralize the stress of the world, the craziness of the world when you come home. And your home is your castle. And you got a woman and her energy exudes yinness. She ain't all up in your face. None of that. Hey, baby. Hey, daddy. You hungry? You know, beautiful stuff that we used to have in the 70s and the 60s and the 50s. It's beautiful. Your children happy. You know, it's no bad news, negativity. It's beautiful. Sitting at the table together, having dinner. That creates that foundation. You know, families rarely have dinner together. Everybody's in their own room with a TV tray. Having dinner separately. It used to be a ritual, man. Now, I know some people don't want that, and that's cool. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to individuals who want it. Even if they're hurt at present, deep down they want it. And a lot of women who are mad at men and who don't believe in relationships and who don't believe in love, deep down inside, they want it. That's what fuels the anger, the grief, the hurt, the pain. That's what fuels it. They want it. They just have to grow into the awareness that they are worthy of it, but that they also have to do the work for it. And that work pertains to self. Get that piece of paper and write down everything that you are angry about. Write it down. I'm angry about my daddy not being on the scene. I'm angry about the way my mother and father came together. I'm angry at the way I was conceived. I'm angry at all the things I had to witness from my mother. I'm angry that I didn't have a father on the scene to protect me from these particular things that my mother did, that she would not have done if I had a father, or at least I feel that way. Write that down. Write it down so you can deal with it. Take another sheet of paper. Write the letter to your father. What would you say to him? And be honest. If you feel the need to curse him out, then you need to write that. You're no good, SOB, and just, you ain't this and you ain't that. I can't stand you, and just write it, get it out. If you could send it to him, what would you say? Write it. Get it out. Look at it. Look at it. Like, damn, I really hate this man. Do I? No. I really love him, but I'm mad because he left me. Look at it and deal with it. Write a second letter, a third letter. For the following males that came into your life and who may have dealt harm unto you, write a letter. Write a letter to that cousin who molested you. Write a letter to that uncle who may have molested you. Write a letter to that male, to that neighborhood male who raped you. Express yourself, how you feel about what took place. Write a letter. Write a letter to all of your past boyfriends whom you felt hurt you, betrayed you, cheated on you, abandoned you, beat you, or what have you. Gave you herpes. Write a letter. Express yourself, because if not, you're going to hold it in. And it's going to eat you up. And it's going to manifest into some form of cancer. Female reproductive cancer. Or a cancer at a particular organ holding on to an unskillful or negative emotion. That's what's going to happen. It's going to eat you up from the inside out. Cancer, breast cancer, cervical cancer, uterine cancer. Write a letter. Get it out your system. Get massage, deep tissue massage, to release the negative emotion held in the tissue of the body. The tissues, plural, of the body. From head to toe. Start getting into massage. And if you can't afford a massage, start soaking hot water and sea salt and caressing yourself in the areas that you can. It's even better if you got a man to do that for you. What I'm saying now constitutes the work. Start meditating. Don't be afraid of the chattering monkey. Yeah, you're going to hear things, but listen to the things that pop up in your mind when you're meditating, when you first start meditating. A lot of stuff is going to pop up. You're going to do your best to quiet the mind, and things are going to come out. You got to pay this bill here, and you're getting a new boss, and everything's going to come up, go on the surface, rise to the surface. Deal with it. Listen to it. Don't become frustrated. Because before you can get to silence, you got to deal with the noise. The noise is what blocks you from the silence. The silence is there, but you got to get through the noise. And the noise is there because you put the noise there from your actions, your lifestyle. Start doing yoga, deep breathing, holding images of negative things and blowing it out with breath. And then dissipating the negative energy, transmuting it into positive energy, because energy got to go somewhere. So if you getting negative energy out of you, where is it going? If you don't transmute it into positive energy, you're putting more negative energy into existence, into the universe, for other people to pick up on. So what do you want to assist? People being positive or positive people, or people being negative people? What do you want to assist? Because if you're putting negative energy out there for people to grab onto or to attract, then you're assisting people being negative. But if you want to assist people being positive, you need to put that positive energy out there for people to pick up, for people to attract. So you got to transmute negative energy. Always. Always. Write a letter to the higher self. Express yourself to the higher self. Tell the higher self you felt that the higher self ran from you, hid itself from you. So therefore you acted on your lower nature, your lower desires. Have that conversation. It's a catharsis. It's a cathartic effect. It leads to healing. It leads to healing. Start saging your residence. Sage yourself. Sage your yoni. Work with the crystals. Chakra balancing. Learn about the chakras. First chakra all the way up to the seventh chakra. Major chakra, then the minor chakras. Learn the meridians. Learn about yourself. Know thyself. Know thyself. There's a lot of work to do. A lot of work. Change your diet. Life renders life and death renders death. If you're eating meat, processed so-called food is dead. You're eating death. That's all you can get from it. When you start eating life, you feel it. Life renders life. When you eat fruit, it comes from the word frui, which means joy. You are what you eat. You become joyous. Life becomes joyful because you're eating joy in the form of fruit, frui. Vegetables, from vegetaire, to grow. When you eat vegetation of vegetables, you're growing, you're eating growth. You're eating life. Enzymes. Fruit and vegetables have enzymes. Life. Life force. You are what you eat. So you got to change your diet. If you're eating meat and dairy products that come from animals who lived under fear and stress, you are what you eat. You are what you eat. So you got to change the diet. Food affects your mood. You got to change your diet. Start drinking alkaline water because it causes the tissues to dump off toxicity, including emotional toxicity. Start performing enemas, especially the coffee enema, which helps clean and purify the liver. which stores and harbors anger, the unskillful emotion of anger. So work on your liver. Counteract melancholy. Melon, black, collie. That is linked to the word coal, as in coligo, bow. Melancholy. They say it results from black bow. Melancholy or melancholy. Black bow. Makes you feel depressed. And black bow may be a dark green bile, B-I-L-E, bile, which results from eating acidic things. So when you don't feel good about yourself, you're not going to eat things that are going to make you feel good about yourself. When you don't feel good about yourself, you're going to eat crap. Because when you don't feel good about yourself, you feel crappy. So you eat crap. Can you dig it? This is the work. This is the work. Learn your body, learn your organs. Learn your yoni. Learn Tantra, Taoism. Learn. Check the chemicals you're using on your body, your hygiene products. Switch to that which is natural or more natural. There's always room for progress. Make the change. Walk in nature. Take the high heel shoes off. Let your feet touch the dirt, the grass, the sand. Connect with Gaia. This is the work. Start steaming. Get you a sauna, go to a sauna or a steam room. Some powerful stuff. Hydrotherapy is very therapeutic. This is the work, people. This is the work. Start exercising, whether it's strenuous or subtle. I prefer subtle more so than strenuous. But you got to stretch. Because when you stretch, when you're doing exercise, you are performing an exorcism. You are exorcising negative emotion, negative energy out of the body. So a lot of times when you're stretching, you hear a lot of pops and crisp type of sounds, like bacon is, cooking in a skillet. You hear it. It's coming out. Then you feel loose. You feel good. You're getting the bad out. You're making room for good. See, if you do all of this stuff that I'm parlaying in this video, your life is going to change. You see, there ain't no favor. There ain't no good luck. It ain't no good fortune. It's work. It's work, people. Learn your astrology. You're Aries, learn about Aries. You're Taurus, learn about Taurus. You're Gemini, learn about Gemini. You're Scorpio, learn about Scorpio. You're Sag, learn about Sagittarius. Learn yourself. Know thyself inside and out. Learn numerology. Get your aura photographed. Because the colors speak. The vibration emits information. Let you know how you're feeling. It'll let you know how you're feeling. It'll let you know where you're at in life. The colors speak. The colors are bright, and then the colors are dark. You got bright red, dark red. Means something. Bright red is good, dark red is negative. Orange. Bright orange is good or positive, and dark orange is bad or negative. It gives you insight. Read positive books, self-help books, personal development books, books on the goddess. I don't really recommend the feminist books because it's political. And feminism was created by males so that males could get a benefit. Certain males wanted to be set free from responsibility pertaining to women. They just wanted sex, but they didn't want the responsibility that came with it. So men, wise men, knew that in order for them to be free of their responsibility to women, they knew that they had to get women to first get free of men. They knew that. So they created feminism, where the women didn't want men. The women didn't want marriage. Wanted to be like men. and just wanted sex on their terms, like men, not realizing that that benefited men. Women are different from men. These women were not emotionally satisfied. And that's why after the feminist movement of the 1960s, you have the onslaught of female reproductive diseases like never seen before on this planet. Never before. Like my man Osho says, when women was taken out of the house, she was taken out of the womb. She was taken out of the external uterus. And that impacted her uterus. That's why there are so many uterine problems now. Because the uterus is the home. Like the fetus, it's a home. And so the home, whether it's an apartment, condo, mansion, what have you, it's a uterus, it's a womb where women are protected. And so women have left that womb and have become injured because the society does not reflect her. It's a yang-based society, and it benefits males. It benefits males. A lot of women don't understand the detriment that results from having various sperm commingling in her vagina, having sex with 4, 5, 6 different men in 1 week, and all of them are ejaculating semen in her, resulting in semen wars, affecting her psyche, not knowing which man she wants, states of confusion, because she doesn't understand the science of semen. It's deep. It's deep. So I don't really promote, I'm not really into feminism. They make some great points, but in my opinion, goddess consciousness way better than feminist consciousness. It's political. Doesn't make any sense for a woman to have problems serving a man and serving children at the dinner table. She's adverse to that, but being a feminist, she can go get a job working for Denny's and serve people, and that's okay. She's liberated, even though she's serving. So she's serving her husband and children, that's a problem. She's a slave. That's enslavement. But then she can go get a job paying taxes to the IRS, serving strangers, and that's okay. She's liberated. And that kicks her behind because she got to deal with all these strange people rather than her husband and her children. But free will, you got to respect free will. So if they want that, you let them get that. That's why people like me are on the scene. For people like that. Because it's going to hit them. Being on the feet for 8 hours, dealing with negative people, crazy people. It'll catch up with them. Just like men, women work, but they have a different type of work. And their work must take into consideration the delicate aspect of her makeup, of her being, of her physical being. She just can't do any type of work. That work must be compatible with her biological makeup. She can't do what a man does. She's not built like a man. Her body can't handle that. But see, the mind can tell her she can do that. And it's okay if it's a temporary thing or predicated upon circumstances. But if she's doing it day in and day out, her body's going to change to help her acclimate to doing that which a man does. So she begins to turn into a man, vibrationally speaking. But also, too, over time, physically speaking. Because the body adapts by nature to help us out. It adapts. So when the energy changes and the yang energy dominates, everything on the intangible manifests on the tangible. Next thing you know, excessive hair is growing. Because that's yang. That's testosterone, or free testosterone. And progesterone will do a flip-flop and convert into testosterone, or free testosterone. Do the research. Don't take my word, just do the research. There's a reason why you see certain females looking like men, broad shoulders, walking with the energy in their chests, wearing ties, wearing suits, wearing pants, walking like men. Do the research. Read The Wounded Womb by Brother Phil Valentine. There is scientific data to back up what I'm saying. Astrology, planetary influence, planetary aspects bears witness to what I'm saying. You have to have eyes to see. You have to study the right things. It's all there. There's no secret. None whatsoever. In closing, always remember that anger is 99% of danger. And when you're angry, you're dangerous. Especially as a female, an emotional creature by nature. Anger is a choice. Just like every other emotion, negative or positive, it's a choice. There is no situation of God having favor on certain people more so than other people. No, it's a choice. So if you don't like being angry, you have to make the choice not to be angry. And what's going to help you to make the choice to not to be angry is to study your anger. Don't suppress it, but study your anger. There's information in your anger. Negative emotion gives insight. It gives information. Negative and positive gives information. And you want information from both sides. That's how you become wise. And that's how you learn to live life skillfully. Because life really is beautiful. And if your life is not beautiful right now, it's because you have been doing things that make your life the way it is right now. Your life is a sum total of everything you have been doing in this lifetime. And a portion of it comes from past lives. But most of what you're experiencing in this life is from this life, on this domain or realm or plane. And you got to deal with it. You can run, but you can't hide. What you run from, you run to. You are the source of your anger. You turn the fire on, you can turn it off. Ask yourself, what is your incentive for keeping the flame of anger on? What is your incentive for turning off the flame of anger? What do you want? I want love. I want intimacy. I want loyalty, faith. Can you get all of that operating from anger? No. All right then. So do you really want these things? Yes. All right then. Are you willing to do the work? And that work is turning off the flame of anger. It's going to take some work to do that. Because for a lot of people, the anger is deeply rooted. It's deep. And the deeper a thing, the more work you have to do. The more work you have to do. But it's worthwhile. It's worthwhile. We have a lot of angry females in general, a lot of angry Black African American females in particular. I understand that anger, but the anger does not justify remaining angry. It doesn't justify the actions towards other people because the anger emanates from you. And the law of attraction is always working. You're angry, you're attracting people that's giving you more anger. He make me sick, I'm angry, I'm mad. He make me mad, she make me mad. My job make me mad. It's a reflection of you. You want it all to change? Change yourself, because the external is always a reflection of the internal. The external is a reflection of the internal. Research that. It's there. It's there. A lot of books on that subject matter. the power of thought, the power of attitude. Your external life is a reflection of your inner life, your inner world. Most people are trying to change the external world, leading to frustration because you can't change another. You can't change government. You can't change religion, religious institutions. Hell, you can't even change other people. You can only change yourself. You can only change yourself. And it's easy to change yourself because once you make up your mind to change yourself, that's a wrap. Nobody can come and tell you otherwise because you are the authority. You are the power pertaining to yourself. So once you make up your mind, that's it. Nobody can come along and say, you can't do that. You can't change. You can't change your thought. You can't change your attitude. You can't change your belief system. Nobody can come along and tell you that. Or, I mean, they can come along and tell you that, but they can't make you move on what they tell you. They can tell you and then go in one ear and out the other. That's it. So at the end of the day, you got the power. You've always had the power. You were just unconscious. You just didn't know self. So like I said in the beginning of this video, self-knowledge. You got to arrive at self-knowledge. Consciousness. You got to arrive at consciousness. It's a beautiful thing. Life is so beautiful. If I could just bottle up the feeling of a beautiful life, I'd be a trillionaire. It's a beautiful freaking feeling, man, to wake up every day with purpose in life, man. To be in love. And see, before I woke up having a wife and children to love me, I woke up by myself, physically speaking, loving myself, loving my life. That's what attracts others into your life to love you. It expands. It expands. So I'm almost at the 3-hour mark, but I'm not going to make it there because I'm going to end. I trust that I've given you a lot to think about. I trust that the video, the information in the video was delivered or parlayed in a fashion that people can accept, especially females, because with females, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So there was no, going ham or what have you. I flowed from a particular vibration because I really want the information to hit home, and I really want the sisters to know, all women in general, but sisters, black women, African American women, I want them to know that I have nothing but love for them. I want to see them succeed in life. I want to see them excel in life, all aspects of life, from health to finances to relationships to family, all the aspects, all the departments of life. I want to see them succeed. I want to see them excel. I want to see all people who want to excel and succeed in life to excel and succeed in life. I know there are not a lot of positive videos out there for black women, and I wanted to show that there is positivity out there for black women coming from a black man or a black male. I wanted to show that. I've made plenty of videos talking about why I do not call or refer to black females as gods or queens, what have you. And I stand by those reasons. It is not that they don't have the potential. I just know us as a people. We'll glorify in what we hear and we won't act on it. And it does a disservice to call yourself a queen or a goddess and then you twerking and not taking care of children, and you're just defiling yourself, defiling your community. It does a disservice to sacred terms. And that's why I don't do those things or say those particular things. Not that they don't have the potential. It's not that black men don't have the potential to be kings and gods. It's just in their present state, they don't act on it. And it does a disservice to the terms. It really does. And I'm smart, I'm wise enough to not use those terms. Terms should only be applied when there is a function. So when we function as gods, then we can use those terms. When you function as a husband, then you can use the term. Because to do otherwise is to do a disservice to the term. With that, people, I'm ending the video. I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you for watching. And on behalf of dhostore.com, my sincere thanks of gratitude for the support of the business. Thank you very much. Peace and love.